And it's a pleasure to have you both on stage before I die, actually. So maybe first, one question out there, ladies. One of the main critics when it comes to the startup corporate relationship is definitely the confusion between incubating, accelerating, mentoring, all those gems. Do we have clearer borders today? I mean, do we actually understand what we're doing when a corporate is accelerating / incubating / mentoring startups? Véronique, maybe first.
I think you're right. It's really a very crowded landscape. But actually, there are many structures, but they are also useful because they are really depending on the stage of the maturation of the startup. So it's very important to understand what each structure can bring at what time, and also if they are specialized. But I think having a lot of supporting structure is very important. And when we created l'escalators, meaning a new structure, you can think, my God, within this whole big number of players, what can I bring? So except the fact that we did have this vision of, I would say, a social utility by creating an incubator dedicated to people who actually don't have access to entrepreneurship today or don't have access easily. Except that we try to create a program really to help the most the entrepreneurs. And what we thought is that some of them are very focused on training, some others are more on bringing, as you say, mentoring and so on. And our play was to really help accessing the corporates, as you say. Because corporates, they have their own, Bridgestone is a very good example, venture or structures. But sometimes you don't need just to be specialized in one area. So it's very good to have a network of partners. And so when Mr. Levy created l'escalator, he decided to bring together L'Oréal, LVMH, Total, Orange, Microsoft, Google, so meaning a large portfolio of partners. And the goal was really to open the doors to provide fields for experimentation to this startup. So I think you have to really decide what kind of value you bring the most, and then you partner with others. It's not a question of competition in my vision. It's more cooperation, because we do have to support all the ecosystem, but you need to bring your own value.
So that's definitely the way you're going to stand out from the crowd, because actually, face it, also, I mean, this incubator, accelerator market is kind of crowded. Deborah, as a CEO of SISTA, I know that you definitely have mentorship at heart. So do you think today, the company that are actually members of SISTA, seeing a better cooperation with corporates, I mean, do we have a clearer view of where we're heading?
So as you said, there are a lot of like accelerators, incubators. We decided to do none of them and to build communities, which is, we believe a lot in communities at SISTA. So for those who don't know, SISTA is an organization that aims to reduce the funding gap between male and female entrepreneurs. And so we're building those communities. We have SISTA Bold, that is all around mentorship. It's a program we created with the House of Clicquot, and we really have like those amazing mentors spending time with women, and of course it helps creating link. I think the main thing for startups to get to corporates is to have the right contact inside the company. So I think having someone who's a facilitator and who can introduce you to the right, like, just the right people to do real stuff and not only, MVPs and stuff that will just never see the light. I think it's the main thing. So I think mentorship in that sense makes so much sense, because as soon of course, our mentors are very, very high level, and so they know the company very well, and they're able to point the right person for the startup to work with.
Yeah, absolutely. It saves a lot of time and a lot of energy too when it comes to actually, dedicating the right project to the right person so that the mentorship is actually effective. And of course, SISTA has gender equality at heart. How we are doing on this side? I mean, how crucial is it in 2021 for corporates and startups to make it happen?
So the figures are pretty dispiriting.
Okay.
So in 2020, the barometer that we do at SISTA with BCG showed that 90% of funds invested in French startup went to male-only funded companies.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
I'm looking at the corners of that.
Yeah, so we do have tons of work to change that. At SISTA, we're the only organization that focuses both on entrepreneurs and on investors. Iris Capital is a big partner of us and has been supporting us from the beginning. They're part of our other community that's called SISTA Investor Ally. It's a community of funds who help us, who we help mixifying their portfolio. So we did, for example, a big conference 2 weeks ago about cognitive biases. I think it's a great adventure, actually, to rethink the process of decision making.
Absolutely.
I think it's really interesting and stimulating. So we really try to make them see it that way, and Iris has been all in with us since the beginning. So.
Well, yeah, it's 2021. You have to be creative and agile. Véronique, actually, is it going to be one of the main focus of l'Escalator? I mean, getting a more diverse and more gender equality into the founders. You're actually getting acceleration to.
Yeah, gender equality is definitely very important for us, even if it's not the only kind of a fight we have, because we also want more diversity, meaning social diversity.
Absolutely.
When we look at the profile of people who are really creating startups today, it's not only gender, it's also looking at what kind of education they have, what kind of social background, and you can see that it's very, very monolithic, I would say. So we do believe we need to change that. That's the purpose of l'Escalator. So actually, the first promotion of startup we have 40% of women who are
Very
founders.
cool.
So
Congratulations.
yeah. it's a good score, I think. But globally, what we really try to bring what these people lack, meaning sometimes it's some education, because they have not been through the usual, I would say, background. But mainly, it's exactly what you said, meaning connection and real contacts. Meaning, and the partner we have, so when they mentor these startups, exactly what you said, they open their books, they really make the contacts, and so it helps the startups to save what they could have in, I don't know, maybe never or in 2 years. Suddenly, in 2 weeks, they can have a meeting with someone which is key for their development. So I think this is what the play we really want to have at the moment. So helping all these people and trying to have a role model, good stories, people who succeed. So we just start, so it's difficult to say, but we think we have we have good candidates, and then we can show you can have different background and you can succeed, and also then influencing the whole venture and private equity world to help them too.
And what's really interesting too in this, again, startup-corporate relationship, is the fact that the forces have changed. Let's face it. So, and because of the awakening of COVID-19 and the pandemic and everything, we had to come up with a more resilient ecosystem. But still, startups now have the power to choose whatever corporate they want to be joined by or mentored by or accelerated by. And this comes back to the question of core values. Deborah, do you see that really happening to the members of SISTA? Like they're really choosing to partner with some very dedicated corporate because of their core values?
Yeah, I think there's definitely so it's always complicated, because we often say it's the same for VCs. We often say, startups can choose their VC because there's so much money. The truth is, it's pretty hard to raise funds, and it's pretty hard to get clients. So I don't know. I mean, of course, I think it depends on the level of the startup, right? I think when you're beginning, you're basically not taking everything that someone can give you, but you can be less picky because you just need money and clients and so on. I think that later, of course, when you have more power, then you can have more decisions. I think the coming generation of entrepreneurs are more sensitive than my generation, honestly, to those topics. So maybe they will make more business sacrifices for their values. Basically, I just hope that everyone's gonna, take that path into like better values. Truth is, it's also very difficult to know when you're working with someone who, I mean, you have the declared values, and then you have the things that are really done, inside the company, and it's really something. It's often really it is difficult to know what's true. So yeah, complicated subject.
Okay, so I mean, Véronique, do you see some alignment between corporate values and the way that startups want to be accelerated or mentored by those big names in the industry?
Yeah, I think looking from the corporate point of view, I think at the moment there are a strong willingness to try to explore different way to support startup and also to involve their own salaries into this kind of support. And I think this is very good for the whole ecosystem, and we should bring upon that. It's a good time. I mean, there are startups who are really, there are a number of young people wanting to go into entrepreneurship, and I think the corporate have understood that they should build upon it.
And of course, we're seeking for the road to recovery out there, even though the ecosystem is doing quite well, as we've seen over the past few weeks, indeed, especially in France. But what exact challenges do you see upcoming for entrepreneurs in 2021 and even beyond? Deborah, maybe first.
I think there's a big topic around raising seed rounds. And pre-seed rounds. I think if you see the graphs, there's a lot of money in the ecosystem. It's going more and more to big rounds, like series A, B, C, D. So I think we have to be vigilant, because if we want really to create the next generation of entrepreneurs, we need to make sure they can get money at the pre-seed and the seed level. I don't think we can only count on business angels to do that, because of course we're lucky enough to have business angels because we have entrepreneurs that exited and so on. But I think having a real fund behind you has a great value for entrepreneurs. So yeah, that would basically be my point of attention, to make sure we still have seed money in the ecosystem, and of course give it to women entrepreneurs.
There you go.
Because they are amazing.
Oh yeah, women are amazing. Véronique, Arenze?
Yeah, I hope so. No, I think there is also something about talents, because there is a war for talents, and so I think the whole ecosystem needs to work on that, and this is happening at the moment. And it's also an opportunity for women, I think, going into especially technology roles. But definitively pre-seed, I would say even the first money level of, the fourth is very important.
Absolutely. I mean, the more we've been, trying to experience this pandemic, the more we've seen that the war for talent is definitely a global. If you had one more tips for young entrepreneurs to enter the ecosystem, what would it be, Deborah?
Find the right mentors. Honestly, I think it's really something that is so important. Entrepreneurship is hard.
Yep.
It's really hard. It seems hype from the outside, but actually it's difficult.
No, it's glamorous.
It's amazing, it's glamorous, but it's also really hard. So you need to, of course, always be confident towards your clients and towards, the public, but have people with whom you can talk about real shit going on. So I think that's something really interesting to have those people that you trust and you can confide to.
Roll up your sleeves. Véronique, your tip.
No, I would say believe in you, and there is a lot of people that can help you today, but you need to be confident.